Yo, 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 what up? The boys are back.
We're here.
Week 2, NFL, complete. Week 3, college football, complete. We're still here. Yeah, it's moving along. Well, we'll get to this. Schwarber strikeout. We'll get to this later, but NFL, tough week for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Tough week. Yeah, no one roots for injuries, but holy moly, there was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But college football's first.
That's right. What are we starting with, David?
Big news, big news. So there has been now teams that are joining the Pac-12 in 2026.
Okay.
Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State are planning to join the Pac-12, so that makes 6 total teams.
Okay.
They need 2 more teams to make it an actual, it's like an automatic inclusion into the NCAA championships and college football playoff. You have to have a minimum of 8 teams in your conference. They have 6.
Oh,
so they're making a few calls.
Okay.
So,
can you say those teams again?
So Boise State,
okay,
Colorado State,
yep,
Fresno State,
okay,
San Diego State.
Okay.
Yeah.
All likely teams. It makes sense.
All pretty good teams, solid teams.
So let's see here. Did whatever you were looking at say other potential teams? Don't look it up.
I don't know.
No, let's brainstorm here.
Okay.
Okay, so we've
I gotta
got
pull
those.
up those conferences. It's got to be someone from like the Mountain West.
We'll just look at the list and then we can think about teams,
What do you mean?
schools out there.
The list?
Yeah, the list that you just read off. Those 6. That's all you need. Then
I
you just
only
think
have
of
4.
teams.
4.
Well, you got Oregon State, you got
Washington State. I think.
Washington State,
And then these 4.
Fresno State, Colorado State,
San Diego State.
San Diego State, Fresno State.
Yep.
Okay. So you need at least 2 more. I mean, you would think that they probably aren't shooting for 8 teams, right?
They're probably trying to get to 10.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is also at the same time, a lot of these teams are on the West Coast already.
Oh, yeah.
So it would make more sense to
it'll
have a
be-
team from over there.
It'll be like
West Coast
basically
teams.
take a line like Denver, go up to Canada and go down to Mexico, and it's gonna have to be west of that.
Yeah, so California, Oregon.
What about what about I was gonna say what about UNLV in New Mexico?
There's possibilities. Does
UNLV?
So you think they'll just transform, basically take the
I mean, it
Mountain
seems
West and just move them to the Pac-12?
It
right?
seems like that's what
Essentially.
they're trying to do. I would guess that that's got to be the closest like competition level in regarding like any of the West Coast teams or teams that are on that half of the country that aren't already in a major conference.
Right. I would say, well, New Mexico's not bad because of, if you're thinking all sports. I would say Utah State's probably up there as well.
New Mexico and UNLV just because it seems like they're kind of like
They're good at basketball too.
Well, they're a pair.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we have UNLV, we might as well get New Mexico, and then it makes it a little easier to like travel there too.
Yeah. It's interesting because it is, I mean, those, once you take out, when you look at the Mountain West, once you take out these San Diego States, Fresno State, Colorado State, Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also rumors, I'm pretty sure that Air Force was going to try to go to a different conference too.
Okay.
So it seems like everyone's just, I mean, they said, okay, well, at first, I remember we were talking about the Pac-12, people left it, obviously, to go to different conferences, and they were like, oh, the Pac-12 is going to be gone. Now it seems like the Pac-12 is back. They just got to regroup it.
Just a little bit lesser of a competition level.
Yeah, so what about if you added UNLV, New Mexico, Utah State, Nevada?
Okay.
The hard part is you kind of have to also include Hawaii, because who else is going to, I mean, that's like the only
I
conference.
mean, you don't have to include anybody.
Yeah, I guess, but who else? I mean, it's just hard because they're the only ones over there.
Not your problem.
Yeah, so then if Air Force goes, then you're stuck with
I can
Hawaii.
See, Hawaii just
San
seems
Jose
like a
State,
school that should
Wyoming.
be an independent school. Like, they're just kind of like out on their own, kind of like Notre Dame. People go there because they want to play them, like in Hawaii. They want to make a trip to do it. Like, they just seem like they're the perfect independent school.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Maybe it would. I mean, it probably would be very challenging to get schools to go play them throughout the year, not like at the beginning. I'm thinking football, but I don't know.
It is kind of a unique concept where it's like for them, every team they play, it's a 3-hour flight minimum to go, and then you're staying over, then you're traveling back. Don't get me wrong.
3 hours?
It's probably 3 hours from California to Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was more. Because I'm thinking, in my head, I'm thinking 8 hours and from here, and it's 3 hours to LA, which would put us at about 5
hours.
Yeah.
From Los Angeles to Hawaii, 5 hours.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah, it's about 5 hours. So you're going 5 hours minimum, unless it's closer to, I guess you could say, to Oregon or whatever. It's basically 4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
So kind of cool, but interesting.
Are there any other schools that you would think about?
No, because I think when you made a good point, you kind of have to just diminish the Mountain West. I mean, you just do. If Air Force goes, but then you only have 4 or 5 teams in that, so then they don't become a conference that can make the playoff either. Yeah.
I mean, the other aspect is we could think about like the West Coast Conference. The only issue there is they don't have football, and I feel like if you're deciding on for the Pac-12 team, like from a Pac-12 perspective, thinking about schools that they want to add, that's what is going to make their money. So
I think you have to have football.
Pretty much have to have football.
I feel like football is the reason these conversations probably got started.
Probably
at the same time. So
yeah. Okay, those are our.
We'll see potential.
Is that are there 3?
There's 4.
Did we just say
4? You said New Mexico.
New Mexico and
UNLV. I said Utah State, Nevada.
And you get Nevada and Utah State.
Yep.
And combined, hopefully it's those 4. And then
San
we're
Jose
just the
State
smartest
is whack.
people here.
Wyoming's whack. Hawaii makes it. I don't know. Hawaii's tough.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't know if these teams that. Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay. I like it. That's our vote. Those 4.
Yeah. They have to let us know. I guess we'll
figure out. If it does happen, and it's those 4, then.
Give ourselves a little pat on the back.
Just keep coming back because we'll just fill you in on everything important.
Yeah, a little pee on the beat. Next thing, college football. There is some big news coming out of a big-time team. Michigan quarterback.
Okay, what's that?
Switching quarterbacks before this USC game. They are currently ranked 18th. They've looked terrible. Their quarterback has 6 interceptions, the starting quarterback.
He also looked terrible last week.
He's been horrible. They don't look like the same team. Their running backs are very good. Their defense is okay. But USC... going into the big house being like, I think 6.5 point favorites is crazy.
Are they?
Is crazy. And I think this is what's crazy is this is the year that they potentially could falter. I think Michigan could definitely falter. They're just not as good. That quarterback play is horrible.
I mean, if you watched, what did he have? 3 interceptions? He had 3 incompletions, and all 3 were interceptions.
Last week or against Texas?
This last week.
Oh, against Arkansas State.
Against Arkansas State. It's not like you expect that Arkansas State's just ripping out this extremely challenging defensive scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just a personal thing, but
right.
I mean, goodness gracious, you got to be better than that.
Yeah, I think it will be very interesting because I think at the same time, this new quarterback, I think his last name is like Origi or something like that.
I thought it was Orgy.
It might be Orgy. I don't know. It's like it's got an I in there. It's got
O-R-J-I. Yeah,
O-R-J-I.
Big running quarterback.
That's all. Yeah, he's just a runner. So now it's like you change up your whole scheme. Granted, maybe it'll work out. I don't know.
I think that they wanted to do smash mouth football, and they were kind of doing that, but their quarterback before was not a smash mouth guy, and now this guy, he's ready to.
He's a big guy. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
So So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, USC comes into town. USC is also a very good team.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens.
We'll talk a little bit more about that matchup later.
Yeah. So are we going back? Impressed week 3. Which teams impressed?
Well, before we get to that, I want to make just a little note about the rankings.
Okay.
We talked a little bit about them last week, and honestly, I think that we should focus more on the coaches poll than the.
I think so now. Switching it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
And granted, this is just one person's opinion. It obviously won't change anything that happens, but I mean, we mentioned it last week. And it constantly happens. the AP poll seems to be so much focused on like the big name hoopla, and that completely affects the rankings. Whereas I was looking at the coaches poll, one, it's people that you actually know football. The AP is just like people that work in media?
I think it's the media guys, yes.
Yeah, it's the media and girls. It's the media people that are heavily swayed by their previous experience, the programs that they like, so on and so forth. And so I feel like the coaches poll gives a much better representation of who actually should be ranked.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
62 sports writers and broadcasters throughout the country. That's who makes up the AP poll.
Right. So, like, I mean, obviously, probably the top 20 in both are the same. The order is slightly different. Mm-hmm. But then you get to, like, the 20 to 25. That's where you see the biggest changes. Would you rather have... Don't look at it.
Okay. I've already seen it.
All right. Well,
okay. Just what's the question?
Listen to the names of the schools and tell me which ones you would rather have. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. We're gonna go Louisville,
okay,
Iowa State, Nebraska, Memphis, Texas A&M, UNLV. Okay. Or Iowa State, Clemson, Nebraska, Northern Illinois, Texas A&M.
So there's only 3 different teams.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clemson's a little higher on the coaches poll.
Right. So Northern Illinois and Illinois are the big ones.
Northern Illinois and Illinois are the big ones in the AP, and then Memphis and UNLV.
Yeah, and I think the difference is, I will say this.
But Memphis just beat
Florida State, who at this point doesn't really mean anything. I'm sorry, it doesn't mean anything. They're horrible. But I do think Memphis looked fine. I still, and we said this last week, I don't understand Northern Illinois' position.
Yeah.
So that I will say this, I think Illinois still deserves potentially to be in the top 25. They play Nebraska this week. It'll be a tough matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But
they're 26th in the coaches.
So Illinois also beat a ranked Kansas team.
Yeah.
So when Kansas was ranked, they beat a ranked Kansas team in actually I don't know if it was in Kansas, but they beat a ranked Kansas team. So I give them credit there. But I don't know. I think the difference is I think Memphis played well. I don't know anything about UNLV. So if you take out UNLV and you take out Northern Illinois, I think they're pretty similar. You're just switching up Memphis and...
Do you think Texas should be number 1 or Georgia should be number 1 still?
I'm under the impression that, like, if you're number 1 and you never lose, how can you move from number 1? Granted, the top...
And you won the championship,
last year?
And the year before?
Yeah, and so it's like you haven't lost in what?
Oh, wait, no, they didn't.
No, not 2 years ago.
No, they didn't.
Last year. They didn't even make it, yeah.
They won it 2 years ago.
2 years ago, but I'm saying... I mean, it just, like I said, it doesn't make any sense to me. But at the same time, I also think it's interesting. It's like, okay, so they beat a tough Kentucky team on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they did not look good. I'm not saying they looked good, but they still won the game. Texas, okay, sure, beats UTSA, sure. But your starting quarterback gets hurt and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't see how you can just pull them down and bring them down. I don't get that. But I still think in my mind, I mean, they're still the team to beat. And to be honest, if we're talking 1 versus 2, those 2 teams are the most dominant teams in the country.
Yeah, 100%.
Right now. So,
okay.
I still think my opinion is Georgia should still be on top. I don't get how you cannot be on top if you haven't lost in
I agree.
In 2 years. Or
I agree.
Two in some years, you haven't lost, 1 time?
You lost 1 time, yeah. All right, so back to the impressed and depressed.
Yeah.
Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the good.
Impressed.
Yep.
Kansas State.
Yep, they're on my list. I have 3.
They played Friday.
They played Friday against
Arizona.
Yep.
They controlled the whole game.
Yeah, Arizona didn't look very good, to be honest.
Maybe they were sleepwalking from the game the previous week that they should have lost.
Yeah.
To Northern Arizona.
Right. They just, I think maybe it was because Arizona potentially came out of the gates hot, and they have some pretty good players, but I don't know.
I mean, they got a good quarterback and 1 good wide receiver.
Yeah.
You can do a lot with that, but not nearly enough in this game.
Right. So
Kansas State.
I agree.
My second one was Tennessee.
Tennessee?
I mean, they're just smoking people.
Yeah. Okay. I think this week will be a big test for Tennessee.
Yeah, but they're similar to Illinois. They still played. I believe they already played NC State.
Yeah, NC State was preseason ranked.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So I mean,
number 24, they beat 51-10.
And then what was the score this last weekend?
Well, Kent State, 71-0.
71-0.
Well, Kent
State.
I mean, no.
State. But the other big news that just came out about Tennessee.
Okay.
You see?
No.
So starting next year, so just to kind of level set, starting in 2025, schools can opt into revenue sharing with the athletes.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
You have to opt in, and that's a way to increase the roster sizes for teams.
Okay.
And schools can share up to $25 million of their annual revenue to the athletes.
Okay.
Okay. Supposedly Tennessee last year, I think the football program, they brought in $75 million in revenue.
Okay.
So pretty good. But
Pretty high.
you know that football is
The main
sustaining the revenue for a lot of the other sports.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So they're bringing in the majority.
Yep.
However, it just came out that Tennessee is increasing the ticket prices
10%.
for all of their sports by 10%, and they're considering it a talent fee. So all the tickets, season tickets, single game tickets, season tickets for the students, they're all increasing starting 2025 to include this talent fee to then go and essentially pay players
more money
by the ticket prices.
Got it. So do you think this will be a trickle effect that more teams will do?
1000%.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, then you're not just having to rely on boosters and stuff. You're kind of getting it.
Right. And like all the donations that season ticket holders make, that there's that can go to the revenue sharing. Like, it's not just this talent fee that's coming from the ticket purchases.
Yeah.
But it's an easy way to add a small fee per person, per ticket.
Per ticket, yeah.
And it can have the potential to go straight to the athlete.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy too is when you really think about it. So if a ticket costs $100, you're now just paying $110.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like it's really not a huge change. I will be very interesting to see if other teams do it.
Do you think that they'll do it?
I think some teams will do it. I think some teams will be old school and still be like, no,
Really?
whatever, because we want our fans to be happy and you guys are lifelong people. Because I bet you it pisses a
What
bunch
do you
of
think the
people.
percentage is going to be?
I would say
that do and that don't.
That do and don't. I would say 75% do, 25% don't.
Okay, that's higher on the don't than I thought.
I think it's just one of those things where I think with a lot of them, they'll just be like, oh well. And here's the reality: reality is they probably already have boosters that are already saying to fork up a bunch of money anyways. But it's just an easy way. But I would say teams in this Big Ten are like, we're trying to just get people in the door. I'm not increasing our prices. They're just not going to.
Right, but it's a way to build in a way to increase the money that you can pay your athletes
100%
without having to like specifically have people donate money.
Right.
Like, it's a way that they get something for paying your athletes, basically.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. I agree. I think it's a good way to do it. I'm just saying when you look at some of these schools that don't sell a lot of season tickets or don't do all that stuff, they're not going to increase prices if they're not already getting people in the door. It's different when you're playing in the SEC and sell out every game.
It's true, very true.
I mean, it's just, don't get me wrong. I think there's teams that every team should do it. It's very easy, like you just said, because then you just take that chunk of money and you say, okay, here you go. This is now to the players. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah. Speaking of, I just thought of this last thing. Speaking of boosters, apparently I read that Florida boosters for the University of Florida have come up with enough money, $25 million, to buy out the head coach and say, all right, we'll pay to buy him out for the school, get rid of him. They hate him so much.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's a lot.
$25 million that people are willing to shell up to say, we do not like this guy so much, we'll pay his buyout fee.
That's rough.
Yeah, so there it is. Do you have another impressed? or just those two?
No, literally just those two. I thought it was a pretty weak.
Yeah, I will say
weak.
I will say the other one team was was very impressed with Alabama. I think Alabama went into Wisconsin. Don't get me wrong, Wisconsin quarterback hurt for the year. I get it.
That's why.
First road test in a tough environment, and Alabama came in there and literally just dominated from the get go. Yeah. So I will say that would be my other team. I think, like you said, you're kind of fishing for whatever. I mean, there wasn't that many great games this week.
Yeah,
will be a lot different. So
we'll
not
go
impressed.
Into those before. Yeah, we were going to do the depressed.
Yeah,
first.
depressed.
Georgia.
Yep, they were on my list. Correct. It's a great pick by you. Are we still talking about Florida State? Because I would say Florida State's still depressed.
No, I forgot about them. Forgot about them as in they're completely forgotten for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Do you have another team?
It's funny because they keep getting brought up because they were supposed to be good and people expect them to be good.
Yep.
But they keep losing. So it's like at a certain point you kind of just have to go with the fact that they're really just not that good.
Right. Well, what's crazy about
keep talking about them.
Well, and they were preseason, yeah. And I think it stems also from last year where it's like, hey, they potentially should have made the playoff, whatever. Yeah. But I will say at the same time, what's crazy about Florida State is their quarterback, DJ Agumbawale or whatever, is supposed to be like this really good player. He has stunk every college he's gone to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting to think, I'm like, okay, I understand that he was high school fantastic, and maybe he is a good athlete. He has looked horrible.
On a TV show.
He has looked horrible. So yes,
it's not been.
That's
good.
my last time talking about Florida State, unless they finally can win a game. Now you almost just expect them to not win a game.
But honestly, they could win a game. Still don't need to talk about them.
No, they're horrible.
Yeah.
So.
No, that was it.
Yeah, I only had those two. Mm-hmm. But now, like we had been prefacing, top 25 matchups. It's a big weekend this weekend. We're starting to get into the nitty gritty. Okay. Conference games are firing up.
Yep.
There's a handful of good matchups. And so this weekend we might have a little bit more fireworks. Start on Friday night.
I have a one-word reaction to each of the games.
Okay. How many do you have? Do you have just the 4?
Yeah, because there's only 4 ranked matchups.
So Nebraska versus Illinois.
Yep.
What's your word?
Meh.
Huh?
Not interested. Not excited about the game.
I wouldn't say it's meh. I actually think it's okay. I mean, out of these 4, it's probably the lowest, but I will be interested to see Illinois is finally ranked. Are they for real? Potentially, potentially not. Nebraska, everyone's rallying behind this Patrick Mahomes Jr. guy.
Yep.
Who's very good, but we'll see what he does when he has to play a very good team.
Right.
So, all right, Utah versus Oklahoma State.
Great.
Yep. Wow.
That's what I'm giving that one.
Okay.
Because it's going to tell us a lot about these teams. Like, this is 2 of the top teams in the Big 12.
Right. These are the 2 teams that potentially would win the Big 12.
These 2 plus Kansas State.
Kansas State, yeah.
Yeah, it's between those 3. Like, you can argue that one of these 2 or Kansas State have a very strong possibility of being in the college football playoff.
Yeah, right.
Very strong.
I actually think we both have one of these teams in our college
You have football. Utah and I have Oklahoma State.
So we'll see.
I think I might have Utah as well as a wild card.
Yeah. I think I had Utah winning.
Yeah, I have Utah at 11.
Okay.
And Oklahoma State at 3 as the final seeds. You have Utah at 4. And that's it. They're the only Big 12 team that you have.
Okay. I never even thought about Kansas State. They look good too, but okay.
Yeah, they have been looking good.
So great.
Yep.
All right, next one. Tennessee versus Oklahoma.
Amazing.
Wow.
This is the number 1 game of the weekend for me.
Really?
Yeah, Tennessee at Oklahoma.
Okay.
Because Tennessee hasn't really been challenged yet.
Yeah. Well, NC State.
I know, but like...
Oh, you're saying like the games haven't been close.
I don't
know. NC State on paper was supposed to be decent, but...
They're supposed to be. Granted, now the quarterback's hurt. But I just think that this is finally a challenge that will tell us more about Tennessee.
Yeah. And I think they have a very talented freshman quarterback who's supposed to be the real deal. I think it's just one of those things now when you look at it. This, like you said, this is a big test for them to go on the road to Oklahoma. So.
Yep. Exactly.
And then the last one, USC at Michigan.
Easy.
For who?
USC.
I don't think they win by more than 10.
Well,
that's
more than 10, that's pretty easy.
Wait, so what's your line? What's easy mean?
I think USC easily wins the game.
So what's your giving it?
I don't know if I have necessarily a
point value? You're just saying they will just literally.
I think it's an easy game for them. I don't think Michigan's very good.
Okay. Wait, so what does that mean? Like, if you had to put a number on it, what would you say is your number?
How much USC wins by?
Yeah. Do you think it's double digits or no?
I think it's probably double digits.
Double digits, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I think that would be a very interesting game. I think now you finally have, you have a freshman quarterback going into the hardest atmosphere. You have Michigan, who's now Miller Moss. He's not a freshman, he might be a sophomore, but he's
not a freshman. They were talking about him maybe transferring because he didn't want to sit behind Caleb Williams.
Oh, so he played one game last year.
Yeah, at the end of the year.
So this is his first season going into this environment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And now you got Michigan, new quarterback. Kind of needs to win. If Michigan doesn't win this, it's going to be very tough sledding for them moving forward. Got to go Gophers at Illinois, Oregon, and Ohio State still.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Not good.
Not good. Might fall out of the top 25, but who knows?
I don't think that, but...
No, if they lose those games? I'd say by the end of the year, they might fall out of the top 25.
They play a lot of good teams, so they have to win a couple of them to stay in there. You're right.
Yeah. So, we'll see.
Okay. Anything else for college football?
No. I will say this. I don't know who does Texas do they play? Texas plays UL Monroe, so they'll be fine. But if Quinn Ewers is actually seriously hurt,
he's not seriously hurt.
Well, I know they say that, but I'm just saying until you actually go out there and take a hit. I mean, we've all heard these injuries that they say, hey, he's not seriously hurt. He takes one hit, the guy's out for 5 games. I mean, it's like, we'll see what happens. Granted, they also play Mississippi State, who's dog water. And so once they start playing the teams, hopefully Quinn Ewers is back because I think Arch is good, but I don't know if Arch is that good.
He looks elite.
I'm
just saying.
You could run out there and play against UTSA, my man.
He looked very good.
Yeah, he's very fast. He's very athletic, which is not a Manning trait that most people are used to. But, I mean, UTSA and UL Monroe is pretty interesting. So we'll see. Got to play who got to play.
That's right.
We'll see. There it is. That's college football.
Yep. Now on to the professionals.
Yeah, the professionals. We had a lot happen last week. A lot of underdogs.
A lot of underdogs did win, yeah.
A lot of underdogs won. And there is a stat that
won straight up.
Yeah, there was a stat that in the first 2 weeks, underdogs that are plus 6 points or more are 8-0 this season, covering that spread.
All right, then.
So if you're a betting person, gambling's legal. Underdogs aren't bad. Underdogs last week.
Supposedly.
Bills, Saints, Vikings, Packers, Browns, Raiders, Falcons. All were underdogs. Not by necessarily 6 or more. They all won outright.
Nice.
Pretty competitive league.
Did your dog of the week win?
Correct. I was 2-0 last week. I don't want to talk about it.
Wow, nice.
I was actually 2-0 and 3-0 in Smash One Pass, but I don't want to toot my own horn because I'll probably go 0 for this next week, but it is accurate.
You did also go 0 for 3 the first week in Smash One Pass. So.
I'm 1 for. I was 1 and 2, wasn't I?
I thought you said 0 and 3.
No. You put me at 1 and 2, but we could check it.
Oh.
So.
I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
NFL.
What are we doing? The impressing and depressing?
Well, I'll say this big news. I know people probably heard this. Bryce Young benched.
Yep.
Probably his career over in Carolina.
I mean, that might not be a bad thing for him.
Is there a team you could see Bryce Young going to that would benefit him?
Right now?
Well, I don't think he'll play the rest of it. I mean, unless someone gets hurt. But I think trading him to a team, do you think there's a team that it could be like, all right, Bryce Young is decent. Sit behind this guy, learn from this guy, and then you'll be our guy.
Maybe I don't know, maybe not off the top of
Hear me out, Dolphins. Tua's going to be done. Should be done.
Maybe not, though.
Skylar, Thompson? Not the guy.
Yeah, but he's not going to go there and sit. He would have to play.
Yeah, you go there, you sit a few weeks, and then you play.
Tua, I don't think, is planning on retiring.
Correct. That's what everyone has said. But he's also now on the IR. If the bro has one more concussion, he could potentially be... I'm not going to say the word, but he would not be alive anymore. I mean, his brain is bad. I mean, this guy gets hit, and every time he gets hit, everyone is like, holy shit, this guy is legit.
Yeah, I mean...
He's not good.
It's not something that we want to obviously see.
Yeah. Or I was going to say the Jets.
It's up to him.
Jets. So behind Aaron Rodgers, decent offense.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're assuming that they would trade him like now, because I mean, Aaron Rodgers maybe has 1 more year.
I think Aaron Rodgers plays this year and potentially next year.
Right, that would be 1 year. They're not going to trade him mid-season. They're not going to trade Bryce Young right now.
They should. Why wouldn't they?
I don't think they're going to.
Why wouldn't you?
Plus, also,
you get some value from him.
They're going to be. What value does he have right now?
Get picks. Somebody would trade picks for a... Bryce Young was a first overall draft pick.
What picks is somebody trading?
I don't know how the picks work. You're telling me right now that if you're Carolina, you just sit on him? He's not even good. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't even be your second string. You just benched him. He has no confidence. He should never go back in the game in a Carolina Panthers uniform. Period.
They're not going to trade him.
So what are you going to do with him? Just hold him?
Yeah. For now.
Really? Wow. That's why we're sitting here. That makes no sense why you'd hold a guy like that. There's some team that's going to take a chance on him and say, hey, we'll give you a 4th, 5th, 6th round, whatever it is, pick for Bryce Young.
Okay, so you're going to trade a 4th rounder for your number 1 overall quarterback.
He's not your number 1 quarterback. You just benched him. He's done playing for you.
They selected him number 1 overall. That makes him a number 1 overall quarterback.
But you don't get number 1 for number 1. If you draft a number 1 guy and he stinks, no one's going to trade you a 1st round pick for that guy that stinks. So what I'm saying is you have to get something rounder from him. Potentially.
Okay. So you're just cutting the string and saying...
The string has been cut. If you bench a quarterback who's your rookie, there's very small circumstances that, in my eyes, that would be like, Bryce, come on, we actually want you to play for us now.
I mean...
What's the circumstance? Maybe potentially if Andy Dalton gets hurt and their other backup doesn't know the offense. But if you get benched, that makes no sense to me why you would keep a guy and be like, hey, just stay on our team. You're never going to play. We don't have any confidence in you to go play. And you're done.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't see them trading him.
Okay. So he'll just be on Carolina for the next 3 years? 4 years?
Is that how long his contract is?
Well, he's a rookie contract, and those are, 4 years? This is his second year.
With a team option.
So he'll be there the next 3, this year and 2 more years.
Or this year this year and 2 more years, and then they would be able to decide.
Oof. Poor guy. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. That's crazy.
Not a good situation.
No, that's what I'm saying. Get something from him. I don't know. The hard part is Andy Dalton's not your future quarterback either.
Right, no.
So it's like at some point, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. You bring in a new coach, you bring in a new offensive coordinator, you revamp that whole thing. You feel like you've had new coaches this whole time. I mean, the amount of quarterbacks that have gone through Carolina that have not succeeded is pretty significant.
Quite a few.
It's crazy.
Quite a few.
You gotta take it and just let them ride, I think. Jeez. But we'll see.
I don't know.
All right, teams that impressed you.
We're going to go with the Cardinals.
Okay.
Their offense looked very good.
Okay.
And although their matchup was not too challenging, I think that they showed that the potential of what their offense can be.
Yeah. Okay.
And you also have to keep in mind they were beating the Bills at the beginning, and then they changed up their offense in the second half of week 1, and which didn't make any sense. But anyways, number 2, Chargers. Although they did play the Panthers, which I know is, we just mentioned, not a very challenging game,
mm-hmm.
but they've been able to impose their will on both of the in both of the games that they've played already.
Yeah.
And
Just run.
they're doing it exactly how they said and they want to do it, which is run with a few passes mixed in.
Yeah.
And it's worked so far. So that was impressive.
I think this week
Yeah,
at
who they play,
Pittsburgh,
Steelers? Yeah.
definitely different, and we'll see if Justin Herbert can throw it a little bit more, because he'll probably have to.
He might
against
actually
that
got banged
defense.
up a little bit last week, but
I just don't know if you're going to be able to run as much as I mean, J.K. Dobbins has looked very good, and they want to run.
yep.
They just, I don't know.
Even Gus Edwards has looked pretty good.
He's looked okay, yeah. I mean, that's a good offense. I mean, that's
he had more
Jim
rushes
Harbaugh's style.
than Dobbins. My third team is the Buccaneers.
Yep, I had the Buccaneers.
Because they went and played Detroit. And was that home or away? I can't remember.
At Detroit.
All right, yeah, it was at Detroit. They went in there and they won, played defense well enough to make the Lions' offense look not very good, and they were able to score enough points where, they kind of handled the game, and that was impressive against a team that everybody is putting up towards the top of the NFC.
Potential Super Bowl team for some.
Yep.
I would say I'll add two. First of all, hometown Vikes. I think the Vikes showed up.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, we always play well at home. Don't get me wrong. And the Niners hate playing here, but it still was very impressive. They played. Defense was great. Offense looked great.
Yep.
Second team is the Saints. Saints have scored, I think, 90 points? 91 points in 2 games. You just played the Cowboys. You scored almost every single possession you had.
15 possessions.
I don't know. They changed up the offensive coordinator. Their offense looks good. And it wasn't just, yes, they've done 2 deep balls to Raheed Shaheed every game, or 1 deep ball each game, so 2 total. But they're running the ball better than ever. And this was a team that everyone came out and said, I'm not saying, we didn't say this, but there was other people who get paid a lot more money than we do, that said the Saints coach will be the first coach fired because they'll start out the season 0-5.
Not so
Bad
far.
look. Bad look. It's a tough look.
Unfortunately, they already have 2 wins.
Yeah, so you can't go 0-5.
And also, starting 0-5 when you play the Panthers first week would be mind-blowing.
Right. Exactly. But, like I said, some people get paid more money than we do to do this stuff.
Yeah. Which, that's a different conversation for a different day.
Different day, different time, different day.
Alrighty, give me your depressive teams first.
So my first depressed team is the Colts. Going to Green Bay. Green Bay has a backup quarterback, Malik Willis, who I think this is his first year in Green Bay, maybe second year.
No, it's his first year. He got signed at the end of August, so it's his first month on the team.
So Anthony Richardson has 3 interceptions, looks horrible. The end of the game, Jonathan Taylor's not even playing.
Yep.
You lose to the Packers, who, I think the Colts were favored, but
they were by 3.
By 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look terrible, and it's just like, what are we doing? And then my second team, I hate to say this, but is the Dolphins. Even when Tua was healthy that game, they were horrible. Tua looked horrible. And I also don't understand these quarterbacks where it's like, Tua did it. Will Levis is notorious for doing it 2 straight weeks. If you're going to take a sack, don't just huck the ball in the air. Tua did it to the sideline. It was a pick 6. Will Levis tried to throw it backwards, and it was a fumble. And you watch the coach for the Titans, and he's literally looking at Will Levis and going, what are you doing? Just take the sack. But, I don't know. So the Dolphins, tough, especially now with Tua hurt. So I would say the Dolphins and the Colts are my 2 for sures.
Okay.
Depressed.
Do you have any